So the objects of imitation. What should be the object of imitation? Naturally, in poetry, there will be imitation of men in action. And this is how, when he says men in action, this is how Aristotle sounds different from Plato. It's not only men, not only imitation of men, but imitation of men in action. Then what should be the object of imitation in poetry? Aristotle says it all depends on the kind of poetry you have chosen to write. If you have chosen to write a tragedy or epic poetry, your object of imitation will be men, more of good and less of evil. Remember it. If you are writing a tragedy or epic poetry, you should imitate men in action means, Murari, when man is doing something, it's not a dull man. Men in action means man involved in various activities, right or wrong. Right or wrong. It's not that man is sitting idle. He is participating in various activities, favorable as well as unfavorable. So I think you have got it. Men in action. So what kind of men? It depends upon the kind of poetry you have chosen. If you have chosen tragedy, if you have chosen epic poetry, then the men will be more of good and less of evil. You see, the epic characters, the protagonist of an epic, you can take example from the Ramayana. Lord Rama, for example, you cannot say that he was good and good only. You will say he was more of good and less of evil. So, it depends upon the kind of poetry you have chosen. Even in tragedy, men will be, men selected protagonists should be more of good and less of evil. This is about characters. Then what kind of action should be there? Serious action for tragedy, serious action for epic poetry. Not often associated. Mona wants to know that concept of mimesis is often associated with the concept of imitation. There is no question of association. The concept of mimesis is nothing but the concept of imitation. There should be no confusion about it. The concept of mimesis is the concept of imitation. There should be no confusion about it. You cannot say that the concept of mimesis is closely associated with the concept of imitation. So, men in action, what kind of action you have to keep? Yes, both are same. The only difference is Plato's concept of mimesis and Aristotle's concept of mimesis. That is the difference. That difference you should know. What is Plato's concept of mimesis and what is Aristotle's concept of mimesis? So, what kind of action you are going to choose for tragedy, for epic poetry? There should be imitation of serious action. Serious action. You see, in epic poetry, for example, Paradise Lost, the action is not a trivial one. It is a serious one. It is justification of God's ways to men. The justification of God's ways to men. So this is not a trivial action. This is a serious action. So in all the epics, you find a serious action. You take, for example, the Ramayana, our Hindu epic, our Indian epic. There is a serious action. And for comedy, we have to imitate, the writers have to imitate trivial action, small action. So, object of imitation is also different depending upon the choice of poetry, depending upon your choice of writing poetry, whether comedy or epic or tragedy. I have already discussed why in tragedy the protagonist should be more of good and less of evil. There is a purpose behind it. There is a purpose behind it. And why in comedy the protagonist should be less of good and more of evil? Evil in various sense, not only bad. Evil should also be taken as something humorous, trivial, something trivial, insignificant, insignificant. So I hope you have got it. Okay. The concept of probability is important. Concept of probability is important. See, the poet introduces probability in poetry. What could be, not what it is. Literature is based on the concept of probability. It is not based on photographic realism. It is not that the poet writes what he has seen. He uses his own imaginative tool. And if he writes simply what he has seen, it is not poetry, it is history. So, imitation combined with probability, with the concept of probability, that makes literature. Imitation with intermingling of the concept of probability makes poetry. Makes poetry. This concept of probability is very important. And then last, first was means of imitation, then objects of imitation, modes of imitation we have already seen. Last is manner of imitation. How? How a thing is to be imitated. This is again very important, and it also depends upon the kind of poetry you have chosen to write. All right? This we have already seen, already discussed, that if we are writing epic poetry, the manner should be narrative. If we are writing a tragedy, it should be dramatic. It should be dramatic. Narrative for epic poetry and dramatic for tragedy, for plays, for drama, whether comedy or tragedy. So this manner is also important. This manner is also important. And if what he says in the third chapter about the manner of imitation, I am reading out. The third difference in these arts is in the manner in which each kind of object is imitated. Given both the same means and the same kinds of object for imitation, one may either speak at one moment in narrative and at another in an assumed character, as Homer does, or one may remain the same throughout without any such change, or the imitators may represent the whole story dramatically as though they were actually doing the things described. As we said at the beginning, therefore, the difference in the imitation of these arts come under three heads: their means, their objects, and their manner. Means, objects, and manner of imitation. These three things are very important and you should get them by heart. And you should know also how Aristotle had breathed a new life into the concept of mimesis by giving all these perspectives. These are the perspectives which he has added to the concept of mimesis, and therefore the importance.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Sir, your voice is not coming. Yes, now it's
Yes,
coming.
yes, there is some problem.
There is some problem.
Raining, it's
Okay, sir.
raining.
It's raining.
Okay, no problem, sir.
Are you getting me?
Are you getting me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Or the video is not clear, that's why I stopped. Okay, so this is
Okay, so this is
hello. So this is the importance
so
of
this is the importance of
just wait.
just wait.
Okay, sir. हेलो कितना सन्नाटा क्यों है क्लास में सब लोग बोल सकते हो
Yeah,
हेलो मोनिका
no.
हेलो हेलो
अरे बोलो जल्दी जल्दी बोलो जल्दी जल्दी बोलो सर ने
सर ने
हाँ जल्दी जल्दी बोलो सबको एक दूसरे का वॉइस
सबको
सुनना
एक दूसरे को
इतना ही
वॉइस
काफी है
सुनना इतना ही काफी है।
हाँ क्योंकि ना अरे मोनिका तुम किरण नाम से रखी थी ना तो पूछती थी किरण कौन है अरे मेरा नहीं फोन है
अरे
ना
मेरा नहीं
31
फोन है ना
दूसरे का फोन में यूज कर अच्छा कोई दिक्कत
मेरा
नहीं है
प्रॉब्लम हम
चलो
बोल रहे
बोलो
हैं तो आवाज गूंज रहा है।
कोई बात कोई बात नहीं है
कोई बात नहीं।
खिड़की सब खुला हुआ है ना उधर का आवाज
अभी सर
इधर
नहीं है
आता है
सब लोग
सामान
बोल लो वो लोग और लोग भी बोल लो
खिड़की लगा
पता चल जाएगा कि कौन कौन है कौन नहीं है
कौन है कौन नहीं।
मेक सम नॉइज
आगे आपने शायद
भाग भाग सो रहा
भाग
है
भाग सो रहा है।
बैड वेदर है
क्या
वहीं पे क्लिक कीजिए ना इस पे तो क्लिक कीजिए ना वो अपने हाथ में
हेलो हेलो हेलो
अरे
ये कैसा मैसेज है
वो तो गया था
मैं
कहाँ
करने
तो
का
बारिश
है कि
खिड़की
बंद हुआ है
हाँ तो बंद कर
हाँ आज की क्लास सच में बहुत
बारिश
अच्छा
की
था
वजह से
बारिश
बस
की वजह से
बंद है
बस बंद।
और ज्यादा
नहीं
ना बारिश
यहाँ बारिश नहीं हो रही है
हेलो
हेलो
Yes, sir.
देखिए आवाज हट गया अब आवाज
Everybody listening me.
किसको बोल रहा
Yes, we are listening.
Yes,
Radhe
sir.
Krishna.
Yes, sir.
I thought sir है.
Not Murari.
नहीं नहीं
और
बस
साउंड इको साउंड एकदम ग्लिच कर रहा है, पता समझ नहीं आ रहा.
अरे मेरा एयरटेल नहीं है ना, मेरा एयरटेल नहीं है ना.
I think सर आ गए.
So this is the importance of the concept mimesis or
Yes, sir.
and I have told you that Aristotle, that's why, has got an edge over Plato, and one should strictly follow the concept and canons of imitation if one wants to be a great poet. That's all for today, and this is an important topic. You should prepare it well. Imitation generally comes in the examination also every alternate year. Since this is a new batch, so there are chances of a question on the concept of imitation. Tomorrow, my lecture will be on the concept of Aristotle's catharsis. You should do some homework, prepare yourself, go through the text,
Sir, repeat
then you will
again. Once again, sir. Concept of
catharsis, concept of. So that's all.